Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Hey, this is Kieran from BEAVERLAND FARMS, and this is our market garden. Instead of growing on 30-inch beds, we actually grow on 4-foot beds. And what that essentially allows is we get, instead of doing a 30-inch bed and then a path and then another 30-inch bed, we actually just do one wide bed, and where you normally would have a path in the middle, we're able to grow one of these longer succession crops. We specialize in these short season crops, these 60-day crops like beets, radishes, carrot, but there's obviously a lot of demand for kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, Swiss chard, cabbage, and other things. And so the way I've found to work that into the system without taking up too much time in the bed is we do this center row of a crop that might take 90 days or 100 days. Sometimes we'll even put stuff on trellises. We have some determinate tomato varieties over there that are going to ripen right at the end of September. So what that lets us do is we'll still crop these beds normally with our 60-day crops. So these beets have been in here for probably 45 days. They've got maybe another week, but you can see they're just sizing up now. And then when we finish, we'll pull out, sometimes we have 2 crops per bed. So you can see, so these are some of the small beets that were too small to sell or to package. So you can see on this bed actually what we've got is we had a bed of beets, and then we had a row of fennel. This is a baby bulb fennel, and then we have a row of salad mix, which was also cut this morning. What we do here now is, now that I've got this pulled out, you see I've done a little bit of bed prep here, and all that consists of is a broad fork. But what's really nice about this method is that every 60 days, every 30 days, however long the crop's coming out, we're now letting in sunlight, air. We're basically kind of sending an energy pulse into the center row of crops. And so I'm gonna rake all these beets back. These go to feed the chickens, so do these weeds. At a certain point I stop weeding once the crop is healthy enough to stand against itself. But the center row crops basically get weeded by dint of our harvest here. We pull all this stuff out, open up space for them. We'll cultivate the soil just a little bit and then either transplant or reseed. In this case, we'll be seeding hardy winter greens, probably spinach here. And that's gonna take 20 to 30 days to get to eat any kind of sizable leaf. And in that 20 to 30 days, this fennel is gonna be growing again, kind of in the open, but it's got a nice mulch. A lot of people really talk about the importance of mulch next to your crops. Well, we just grow a living mulch, and our vegetables, here's some baby kale that's coming up. Our baby kale forms the living mulch. As soon as this grows in, it forms a living mulch, and that makes a microclimate that preserves moisture, it preserves the soil, and it keeps biological activity really high, and that all enhances the growth of our center row crop. And so without needing to do that 30-inch bed, which is very ergonomic, I really like the 30-inch bed because you can straddle it, but with this 4-foot bed you can see it's really easy to reach right to the center with a hoe or whatever standing. It's very easy to cultivate in there. And so we're essentially able to just, I don't want to say we're doubling production, because on 2 30-inch beds you could get 3 crops each, but basically in the place where normally you would have a 30-inch bed, a path, and another 30-inch bed, we're able to do the 2 normal beds, but then we swap out 1 path for 2 extra crops per year, because these are the long season crops. Okay. So with this fennel, this might be $150 or so worth of fennel, which is not as good of a production rate as what we get, or it's not as profitable as what we get on these short season crops, but it makes use of space that would otherwise just be a path. And we do, you know, two extra harvests in here, $150 each or something, and that adds an extra $300 per bed per year, which is really nice, and it lets us offer a broader diversity of crops both for the market and for some of the restaurants.